One of my favorite questions, regardless of my role, has been what are you good at and how do you develop that? And most of them are not going to say that developing their strengths happens on social media. I think that that's something important to ask children and teenagers what they're good at, not only for their self esteem, but also for future planning and preparation. And then how do you develop that further? And typically the answers are not with spending copious amounts of time watching YouTube or social media, whatever it might be.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast, your trusted source for real-world tactics that keep students safe and help them to shine online. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. Each week, I sit down with K-12 superintendents, district leaders, and community voices who are shaping digital safety. We discuss wins, struggles, and strategies used to guide students so they can be safe and successful online. Now let's get back to the conversation.
My name is Matt Pearce, and I'm the superintendent of the Republic School District in Republic, Missouri. We have 9 schools in our district, and we have about 5,400 students pre-K through 12.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you on the program here today. Hello to all of our listeners and viewers. No matter whether you're listening to this in the car, you're watching it on YouTube or anywhere else, remember that Smart Social is all about keeping your kids safe so they can someday be successful. And what does successful look like? Well, first of all, safety online, because these new digital tools we're giving them at a younger and younger age. For those of you listening, I'm holding up an iPhone or an Android, but also successful means that they're shining online someday. Our dream is that your kids get into their dream college, career, internship, or anything else, and they're resilient at the age of 25, so they're ready to tackle that world with a great career. And that's what we're here today. We have an amazing superintendent, and we're going to ask him some great, rich questions to talk about how you, parents, can get closer to your kids. We're going to talk about having a rich dialogue. We're going to dive into some of the safety strategies you need to know about. And we're also going to talk about some ways that you can engage your kids a little bit better and some of those dialogue starters. All right, Superintendent, with that in mind, I've got some questions. Now, you're going back to school tomorrow, is that right?
We start with new teachers, and then we have school starting on August 19th.
Fantastic. So it is a busy time. There's no time better than right now to start thinking about, for all of our parents, if your kids are going back to school or they already went to back to school, it's going to be a rush of screen time and chatter in the hallways and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to dive in. Now, Superintendent, after 220 superintendent conversations of your peers in 45 plus states, we've heard a consistent trend over the last 2 years as Smart Social dove into this huge project. We're hearing, and not every community is like this, but a lot of them are saying students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful tech, AI, social media, but they're sometimes lacking the maturity and the guidance to use it safely. And the result sometimes is more student absences, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse sometimes in the classroom. In addition, we're hearing that parents are trying to raise really good kids in a world they didn't grow up in. A world where now technology moves way faster than safety policies. We're trying to catch up, but it's hard to keep up with the tech companies. And teens know how to hide apps and online behavior. They always have. And safety lessons sometimes come after a crisis. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. What do we protect from next? Superintendent, are there any other trends on this topic that you've seen so we can alert other school districts before they see them?
Absolutely, Josh. And what you described is pretty similar to the life we're living in Southwest Missouri here at Republic. One of the things that has also happened in Missouri is this topic has caught fire with our state legislature. And so beginning on August 28th of 2025, so here in just a few short weeks, Missouri is going to have a law that becomes effective that prohibits cell phone usage from bell to bell. So the starting bell of the school day to the ending bell of the school day. And I think that, the big concerns there are what's happening in the classroom, the distractions, the texting, the notifications. If you ask a student how many notifications they get during one class period, it's pretty astounding if they have those notifications buzzing on their watch or in their backpack or whatever. So something that's happening in Missouri that we're overall excited about is that we're going to be able to limit cell phone use in the classroom.
Yeah, that's great. I'm hearing nationwide that trend, and kudos to all of our other superintendents nationwide that are trying to navigate that. There's no one perfect solution. Superintendent, I want to ask you a little bit about your implementation, how that's going to work. But some districts nationwide, we're hearing have an off and away type of thing in the school bag. Some are telling the teachers, let's get you one of those shoe holders, and the kids come in and they put it in the calculator shoe holder. And other ones, you have to put it in the locker. And other ones are getting these bags that are RFID compliant so that they can't communicate with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or LTE 5G signals. Which route are you going down?
So we're going to go down a pathway of what I would call responsible ownership and use. And that is, we're not going to confiscate or take cell phones or put them in pouches. We're going to ask our kids to meet the standard. We're going to show them the standard. We're going to talk about the standard. And we're going to ask them to be responsible with that. Now, the good thing is that our middle school adopted this policy 2 years ago. So we've got sophomores and freshmen that are used to this type of practice. And it'll be trying to get our older kids to buy in and ensure that they're living by those rules and regulations and practices that we want to help with learning and to keep kids safe and to keep focused on each other and not necessarily their phone.
Hey, that's great. I love hearing that. A lot of districts are doing that. They start in the middle school and the kids grow up with less classroom screen time, which is terrific. And I have a feeling too that, and I might be wrong, maybe set me straight. Have your teachers said this is kind of exciting because they'll have more agency, whether the kids can bring it? Because there's probably sometimes when teachers go, okay, bring it out, we're going to use the phone. And other times, put it away. It's the district said, I get to tell you when to put it away and so on. Do teachers get that agency, and are they excited about this?
I think most of our teachers are excited about this. And when we implemented at the middle school level, we had done this for about 2 weeks, and the teachers kind of had this look of amazement on their face, saying that my students are coming to my classroom alert and wondering what's happening and engaging in conversation because they don't have their cell phone, which is an automatic, easy go-to if you don't want to talk to anybody else or you don't want to talk to the teacher and know what's going on. So they were very excited with the implementation of that when we did that a couple of years ago. And I suspect those same things will happen at high school.
You know, a few years ago, we've been following this for years. Smart Social is almost 13 years old now. And a couple of years ago, I remember a principal on the podcast tell us, Josh, we put all the phones away. We're doing something very unusual. This was like maybe 4 years ago. And one parent called, a couple things happened. And I think it happened in your middle school too. Positive things happened. Number one, the principal said around in the cafeteria, kids started talking to each other and playing board games and being silly and a little bit loud and fun and socializing, right? It takes a couple weeks. They probably, and superintendents watching this nationwide and parents, if you ever take a screen away, they're going to really dislike you for the first short period of time. And that is normal. I, as your third party virtual cheerleader, I am shaking my pom-poms, rooting for you. If you remove screen time from your kid's life in a way that makes them better at the age of 25, because you've done the tough love now, which the superintendent is doing right now with all these students, we love that. And we think that's what's best for students in the long run. Number one, usually in the cafeteria, there's vibrance one weekend. They start to get used to it. And number two, some parents will often say, we've heard this, and I might be wrong. So I'd love to follow up with you. Hey, did you get rid of that cell phone ban? I bet it didn't last. And the principal goes, no, it's been going great. I can't believe you got my kids to put the phone away. This is amazing. They're not complaining about it. I guess I have more agency at home to do the same thing. So school districts, you are our heroes. You can lead the way, talk to parents about, hey, you're the tough love enforcers, if you will. Superintendent, did I get that wrong? What would your advice be?
100% think you're on the right track, Josh, and I would agree with you. Students are going to rise to that level of expectation. And if we get in our homes, and even with my own child that is still at home with us, if we go to our own accords, oftentimes we're in different areas doing different things, and we might all be on our phone doing something in a different space. But when we come together and we are intentional about that with some cell phone restrictions and family time, then those things become important, and you see them start to converse, learn, and ask questions and be a normal teenager.
Yeah, so true. Be a normal teenager. I think that's a good key takeaway for all the parents watching right now. How do we get kids back to the early 2000s, late 90s to be a normal teenager, right? Yet still use these new tools, ChatGPT, AI. We'll talk about that in a sec. Okay, really good conversation. Now, for all of our audience right now, we reach a couple million people a year here at Smart Social with our parent night evening events. This is a theme that was asked a couple months ago. Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Parents, We don't answer your questions. We have real teens answering them, guiding you along the way. A lot of our parent evening events, I'm about to show you, real teens will be pulled into the room by their parents at the parent virtual events, which are online via, you can watch from the convenience of your home. And students think it's kind of cool when they hear from real teens with ideas and advice, less preachy by mom and dad. Let's hear from a real teen on her answer on how to keep her friends safe.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
All right, parents, remember that if your school district is a current partner of ours, then smartsocial.com will invite you to our parent night events. Now, we have the very, very best app guides if your district's a partner on TikTok, parent guides on Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more in 12 different languages. So if you have a family or friend that speaks English, Espanol, Mandarin, they're natively in their tongue, and then also in 9 other languages. No one's left behind. In addition, if your district's a partner, we're going big into AI, using AI for student success, being productive, learning future skills, and reducing cheating while increasing learning. These are taught by real teachers with a bunch of expert tips in there and so on. We're also looking at the impact of screen time on motivation, health, and academics. We also have the latest trends here as well. And one last thing, the thing that parents really love, if your district's a partner, is these weekly live parent events and replays, real teens in the program, and you get a premium parent newsletter. But the best part is you're also automatically entered to win a fun prize. You get a Bluetooth speaker when we give away these weekly Bluetooth speaker, 3D printer, or a Kindle to really promote positive at-home good screen time and technology. All right, I want to dive back over into our guest right now. So, Superintendent, in addition to these 200 plus of your peers we've interviewed nationwide, and shout out to these superintendents that have taken a lot of time out to contribute to what I think is the best program at trying to get parents to open up with their kids. We've also heard from communities. And many parents we're hearing feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast moving online trends and digital safety risks. We're also hearing that students are finding very clever ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations at school differ significantly from those at home. Superintendent, what trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
When you talk about the safety and the screen time and all those different things, the things that come to mind from Southwest Missouri is that we're generally in a conservative area, and we take a conservative approach to items such as social media use. We don't always have the right enforcement, of knowledge and tips and things like that, but being able to take the phone and say, we're going to put our phones away, or we're going to have dinner and we're going to put our phones in a basket and things like that. But I think for us, it's taking the physical phone and just saying, we're going to set this aside and we're going to have some family time. I think being able to do that and do it with efficacy so the whole family can involve in conversations is important.
So well said. Is there anything going back to school that you really want parents to know that's maybe a frequently asked question that you'd like parents to know that they maybe didn't know to understand? Or sometimes when we're driving, we have a blind spot. Is there a blind spot you want all of us to know about that would make the district's partnership with parents a little bit better?
Yeah, I think that the blind spot, maybe even for me as a parent, is that it's just a reminder that the durable skills that we want all students to have and develop as a student through our system, those are important. And you're not always going to get those from a cell phone, right? Google and Apple and websites and apps, they can teach you things. But in our area, the face-to-face, the interaction, the collaboration. Don't forget about those things because they are extremely important and they will prepare kids to do anything that they want to do as they progress into their teen years, into college or the job or the military. And those durable skills, if you have those and you use those and develop those are going to help you throughout. And I think we just can't forget that when you're buried into a cell phone or social media for hours and hours, you don't develop those skills. And so reminding your family and your students and your kiddos that it is important to look people in the eye, to have a conversation, to be able to ask questions, to be able to maintain a conversation. I think those are the things that I would want our parents to remember, to invest in our kids, but also to invest in their relationships with their children.
Well said. I love that. I think for all of our audience, our parents listening, whether you're a parent or a superintendent or anyone in between, I think that's valuable for the next generation. Teaching them eye contact, how to shake a hand, how to greet somebody. I know it sounds crazy, but we've got our phones down, our faces in our phones a lot oftentimes. And that's really great. So for all of our audience, I want to give you a teaser of one of our events that we have back to school. This is called Sneaky Ways Video Apps Keep Teens Watching. In our program, we help parents understand the subtle ways video apps keep teens captivated, and we learn strategies for our families to help them balance screen time as a family. Really a big hurdle right now. A lot of superintendents have told me, Josh, if we can fix screen time addiction, all these other problems kind of melt away. The addiction seems to be a big problem. One of the parents' questions we get nationwide in this program is, hey, Josh, what are some of the tips to help my teen manage their screen time? Well, let's hear from a student with tips on how to reset screen time. Actually, we're not going to hear from one student. We're going to hear from two teens.
I just try to hold myself accountable about how much time I'm spending because you can get lost really easily. While you're doing it, you think 30-second videos, what's the harm in that? But then when you've launched 4 hours out of your day, you feel a lot of regret. Why would I spend 5 hours scrolling on this app before bed when I could have been getting more sleep or being more productive throughout my day? My mom, she always lets me know when I'm just dead scrolling on TikTok for hours. Like she usually tells me how long it's been. You should probably get up and go do the things that you need to do. So besides holding yourself accountable, it's really helpful if you have a parent or someone that cares about you to hold you accountable for how much time you're losing on those video apps.
Some techniques I use to stop myself from getting sucked into social media is being very aware of why I'm on there, as well as understanding how it's addictive. Even though it can be fun to just sit on my phone and scroll and lose myself in it, keeping in mind the things I need to do and setting aside the time to do that rather than falling into it like a trap.
Such good tips. All right, parents, we don't want to leave you hanging. So here's some questions you can ask your teen to have that open conversation and help them evaluate the quality of their screen time. Parents, I want to remind you, we love Google and Microsoft. They're great, but they're not going to wake you up at 2 a.m. to tell you there might be something wrong with your kid or something doesn't feel right. Only you are the world's best safety app to keep your kids safe. And the way to do that is to have a healthy relationship and dialogue with your kids. So here's a couple of those dialogue starters. Number one, you might consider asking your kids, how do you feel after your screen time? Really getting them, it's a how. It's not a yes or no answer. It's a who, what, where, when, open-ended question. Next, does that app or activity make you feel stronger or weaker after 1 hour? So you're giving them the option of stronger, weaker. Well, I don't know, neither. Okay, well, what are those words that you would describe? Next, what screen time or activities or apps make you feel stronger? Ooh, interesting. Now you got to, painting or this or that. Now we're starting to dive into your kids' interests and likes. What activities make you feel more focused and or relaxed? These are really big, right? It could be reading for an hour. Okay, so is the phone keeping us from that? Why don't we read as a family? All kinds of ideas. And then another one, this is great, coming from your kids. How much time do you think is healthy? Let your kids to decide. Well, I feel a little unhealthy after 2 hours. Okay, so maybe 1 hour of social media, and would that be after homework? Right? These are dialogue starters, letting your kids are actually brilliant. We just have to ask them to activate that part of the brain. Superintendent, what am I missing here? You started off in the teacher role, moved into principal throughout your career, and now you're leading thousands of students. What would your advice be throughout your career to help parents? What are questions or advice on parents, how they can open up their kids for that healthy dialogue?
One of my favorite questions, regardless of my role, has been to my kids and to my students as well. What are you good at? And how do you develop that? And most of them are not going to say that developing their strengths happens on social media. And so I think that that's something important to ask children and teenagers. what they're good at, not only for their self-esteem, but also for future planning and preparation. And then how do you develop that further? And typically the answers are not with spending copious amounts of time watching YouTube or social media or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and what are you good at? And I know a couple of the parents are rolling their eyes like, "Oh, my son's going to say Fortnite," or something like that. So parents, we all know, set aside the video game thing. What are you good at, right? And what the superintendent's saying as well is, could it be painting? Could it be martial arts? Whatever, soccer, something. Mathematics, maybe engineering is a path. And maybe they go, I want to be good, mom, at engineering or whatever their passion is. I love that. I wrote this down because I take notes, Superintendent. I'm learning from you live. What are you good at and how do you develop that? I think that's a great two-pronged thing. What are some of the answers you've gotten there?
Oh man, I've heard things reading, I've heard collaborating, I've heard going to Bible study, I've heard athletics and activities, practicing for basketball or trying to be first chair in the band, just all sorts of different things where students are telling and sharing what really drives them to improve upon their strengths. It's refreshing to hear those things, and the kids know it. It's just that, like you said, social media is pretty powerful at holding our attention and in some cases taking our attention.
And really making us weaker, I would argue, right? It's absolutely true. Hey, Superintendent, you've taken a lot of time out of your day. You're getting ready to go back to school. You got a lot of staff members. Thank you so much for taking time out of a busy day to spend time with us.
Hey, thank you for having me. And what a great topic, and appreciate the work that you're doing in this space to keep families going and students safe. And just really appreciate that, and well done.
Thank you, sir. All right, to all of our audience, remember, we're here to keep your kiddos safe online so they can someday shine online. That's what we see as success. So they're resilient. We can't keep them from a car for the rest of their life. You don't say, hey, they'll never drive. No, we responsibly teach them not distracted driving, but very careful driving so that they got their eyes on the road. Parents, and also remember to keep it light, bright, and polite when you're posting online, because our kids are watching what we model and how we behave online. I'm Josh Oakes, the founder of smartsocial.com. So grateful for all of our viewers nationwide. We love you. Smart Social appreciates you, and we're here to protect you for the future. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for spending time with the smartsocial.com podcast. If today's insights were useful, please share the episode with a fellow parent or educator and subscribe so you never miss our next conversation. And parents, make sure to join one of our next live online events each week to keep your family safe and also enter for a chance to win cool prizes. You can learn more at smartsocial.com. I'm your host, Josh Oakes, and parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. I'll see you on the next episode.